strongest man in the world. Bjornsson did not always have his current body type. In fact, he was relatively small as an adolescent. So how exactly did Bjornsson go from a shrimpy basketball bench warmer to the world's strongest man? The first answer is diet. The Mountain says he eats 6 to 8 meals a day for a grand total of around 10,000 calories. Describing his diet, he said, "It's not just all about the training. It's all around. You have to train well, sleep well, eat well. If you don't eat, you don't grow." The biggest changes were that I didn't do much cardio anymore and I put more food into my diet. It's just like constantly work for me. I have to eat every 2 hours to maintain my body mass. It's not easy. When I'm filming, I always have to have breaks to eat. He even let reporters in on his diet regimen in 2018. As he describes it, his day begins with a 6:50 morning workout. This is comprised of cardio and core for 30 minutes. He then chows down on glutamine and a handful of almonds. At 7:30, he tucks into 8 eggs, 200 grams of oats and blueberries, strawberries, and avocado. Then promptly at 9:30, he has 400 grams of beef, 400 grams of sweet potatoes, and a handful of spinach and greens. At 11:50, it's a healthy dose of amino acids and glutamine. Noon brings 400 grams of chicken and 400 grams of potatoes, greens, and some fruits. At 2 o'clock, it's time for a blender meal with 150 grams of oats or sweet potatoes, 2 bananas, 150 grams of Kellogg's Rice Krispies, frozen berries, a handful of almonds, peanut butter, and glutamine. Only halfway through the day, Bjornsson digs into more amino acids, glutamine, and Vitargo. At 5:30, it's time for 60 grams of protein and 2 bananas, followed by 500 grams of beef, potatoes, and greens at 6 o'clock. At 8:30, he eats 500 grams of salmon and 500 grams of sweet potatoes. And for his final nightcap, he has 50 grams of protein or 6 eggs, an avocado, and 30 grams of almonds and 50 grams of peanut butter. He recommends drinking a lot of water throughout the day and more juices to get more calories. He even wakes in the middle of the night for 50 grams of casein protein or raw eggs. When asked what his favorite meal was, Bjornsson said simply big filet steak, probably around 1 kilo. Turns out eating to become the strongest man in the world is a full-time job. This regimen should only be attempted by extreme athletes, as it would be extremely harmful to someone with a normal lifestyle. Of course, you won't gain muscle mass unless you're working out like crazy. So how exactly does Bjornsson do it? His first set includes a 162 kilogram log lift, 162 kilogram axle, 105 kilogram dumbbell, and 135 kilogram block press, 3 sets in a day. And this is just his morning routine. In the afternoon, it's time for the second set. This is comprised of a log press, 20 times 185 kilograms. This is his lightest workout. Then it's time for the bench press. Thor's still going. 3 sets of 220 kilograms and 9 sets of 200 kilograms. Keep in mind that this is just a test exercise. In reality, he switches up his workout regimen constantly. This is only meant to give you an idea of his daily routine. And he's still breaking records. Last year, Bjornsson, then 29, set a new world record after successfully deadlifting 1,041 pounds at the Arnold Strongman Classic. According to Sporting News, Bjornsson broke the record set last year by 10 pounds. The next day, he also set a world record for throwing a 56-pound weight over a 20-foot bar. Describing the event, Bjornsson said, "I had to take at least 4 steps to break the record. And I remember when I went under the bar and I tried to pick it up, I felt the pressure going from my neck through my body and straight to my toes. I felt like my body was going to collapse. I took a break, took a good breath, went under again. I took a step, I felt my back was strong. It was going to hold, so I carefully took another step. I faced straight ahead, more pain in my back. The third step, it felt like my body was going to break. I took a 4th step and I realized I broke the record. After that, I felt my body was quite fucked up. It did heal up quite fast after the record. I celebrated with my friends and I ate a lot." Hafthor was born in the Icelandic capital of Reykjavik. His father Bjorn stands at 6 feet 8 inches, and his mother is of similarly tall stature. Hafthor's grandfather Rainier is 6 foot 9 inches and just as broad across the chest. Rainier recalled in 2014 that Hafthor worked on the family farm outside Reykjavik as a child and was always big, even when he wasn't tall. So Hafthor was a large specimen from a young age. He knew that he wanted to use his massive stature to find a unique career, so he began playing competitive basketball in Iceland, where the sport was just starting to take off. Looking at photos of Bjornsson from this period is truly amazing, because he has such a dearth of muscle mass compared to his later years. As a 17-year-old, he was smaller than most, which proves you can bulk up no matter what your current stature happens to be. Speaking with GQ about this period, Bjornsson said, "I was always taller than everybody else. I've been training all my life, but probably didn't grow muscly until I quit doing basketball. I played for Iceland's under-18 and under-17 team, so it wasn't probably until 2007 or 2008 that I started to gain a lot of weight. I was always getting injured. I injured my ankles quite badly. I had to have surgery. So the second time I had an operation, I decided to take a break from basketball to heal my foot. I could train more then, and I just fell in love with the weights. Fell in love with training hard. Started to put weight on quite fast. Started to get strong really fast. I saw results. My body weight was probably 105 to 110 kilograms. Nowadays, I'm close to 180. And many people don't recognize Bjornsson for his strongman career at all. That's because he's most famous for his acting accolades. Despite the absence of any previous acting experience, Bjornsson's credentials to embody Game of Thrones' The Mountain are obvious. Nevertheless, when the professional strongman was contacted about taking the role, he wasn't sure. When I saw the email, I thought it was a joke, said the 27-year-old father. I was already a big fan of the series. I'm an even bigger fan now, because I know how much work goes into it. Bjornsson thus became the third actor in 4 seasons to play the hitherto minor role of Sir Gregor Clegane. The program makers were looking for an expanded actor to replace the 2 previous beanpole incumbents for a pivotal fight scene. They needed someone who would dwarf his opponent horizontally as well as vertically. They needed someone who could crush a man's skull with his bare hands like an overripe cantaloupe. And they also needed someone who could swing a broadsword the size of a human. Not only was Bjornsson the only one on set who could lift it, he wielded it one-handed. The audition was therefore somewhat unconventional. They asked me if I was strong enough to pick one of the guys up, said Bjornsson. I gave it a try and he felt very light. They were surprised at how easily I lifted him overhead. Aside from his prodigious size and strength, Bjornsson had another attribute. I can move well for a big guy. That would look more awesome on TV. Since thumbing his opponent's eye sockets like a bowling ball, the Mountain, wounded and poisoned, has only been seen in glimpses. Bjornsson is sworn to secrecy regarding plot details, but the appearance in the season 5 finale of a 6'9" zombie-like armored mute is a clue. At least Bjornsson won't have many lines to worry about. When you're new to acting and English, dialogue can be more daunting than a 650-kilo log. I was definitely more nervous with acting, said Bjornsson, but I did my homework. If you're dedicated, it's going to pay off. When he's bulking out his filmography with both Swedish zombie film Zone 261 and British gangster film Devilish Deeds slated for later this year, he's not trying to become the next Arnold Schwarzenegger just yet. It would be a great honor, says Bjornsson. He was the best ever in bodybuilding. I like acting, but I still have something to prove. I want to win the World's Strongest Man title. That's my priority. Bjornsson also has experience on the stage. Hafthor played the lead role in the Philadelphia Renaissance Fair during their debut season in 2015. He appeared as King Thor, the leader in a Viking raiding party intent on capturing the city of Amman. And Bjornsson has even more interesting life twists that never came to fruition. The giant, who can still dunk a basketball despite his size, was almost recruited to play in the NFL. That's right, it's not too difficult to imagine Bjornsson on the defensive line. In fact, if his career had gone slightly differently, you might have seen the Mountain line up for the Indianapolis Colts. Football has long had a fascination with big, powerful men who perhaps lack a background on the gridiron. While best known for playing the Incredible Hulk on television, bodybuilding legend Lou Ferrigno was once a defensive lineman for the Toronto Argonauts. And current WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar made headlines when he tried out for the Minnesota Vikings prior to joining the UFC. And perhaps most intriguing of all is the urban legend that Hall of Fame coach George Allen once invited Andre the Giant to try out for the Redskins. But of course, Bjornsson wasn't destined for the AstroTurf. Instead, he remains busy with ongoing acting gigs and strongman competitions. In terms of his home life, Bjornsson is a pretty well-adjusted guy. Hafthor has a daughter, Theresa Liv, with former girlfriend Thelma Bjork Steinman. Until early 2017, he was in a relationship with Andrea Sif Jonsdottir, whom he met at a gym. They lived together in Reykjavik, sharing a Pomeranian named Asterix. Asterix has his own Instagram page, run by Hafthor himself. Since late 2017, Hafthor has been dating Kelsey Henson, a Canadian waitress. The two met when Hafthor was in Alberta, Canada for a strongman competition and visited the bar where Henson worked. The couple garnered much attention for the difference in their respective heights, as Henson is 5 feet 2 inches. That means he's a full 19 inches taller than his partner. On October 21, 2018, Hafthor announced on his Instagram page that he and Henson are married. The strongman has several tattoos as well, mostly praising Norse gods like Odin and Thor. Speaking about the future, Bjornsson says he wants to concentrate more on acting. Lifting weights is fun for him, but the human body can only endure the sport for so long. As a result, he'll slowly transition to more acting gigs that highlight his massive frame. Until then, his reign continues as the world's strongest man.
Silence.